Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about Gauss law and how Gauss law is related with the calculation of electric field. So our topic is going to deal with a particular law which is going to calculate the electric field by relating a particular concept. Already we dealt about electric flux, so we are going to relate the flux and the reason for the flux, which is the charge. Okay, now suppose you are having a charge plus q here, and the charge plus q being a positive charge, it radiates, or the electric field lines from this charge is acting radially outwards. Suppose if you consider a spherical surface for a sphere, the electric field lines will be normally radially, it is outwards by this way on all directions. Suppose you consider a football, and in the center of the football you are having a positive charge, and from the center positive charge, from the center the electric field lines will be radially acting away from the charge, and when it is passing through the surface, it is always normal to the surface. Okay, here why we have to consider the sphere? Sphere has a symmetry. Spherical symmetry is considered here. Symmetry is very important to deal with Gauss law. To deal with Gauss law, we have to concentrate on symmetry. Without symmetry, we cannot study, we cannot incorporate this Gauss law. Okay. Now, suppose if you consider a very small area here, and the area vector is acting along this direction, this is the area vector, and this is the direction of electric field, and what is the angle between them? 0 degree. We know, suppose this is a very small area, I can consider as ds vector also. So the equation, we know d phi, a very little amount of electric flux is going to pass through this very little infinitesimally small area ds. So that is equal to integral d e vector into ds vector. So we know that this is the electric flux, and this electric flux is a scalar quantity. So being a scalar quantity, when you integrate this you get phi. So the electric field E, when you consider this particular area, the electric field is confined to this area, and E can be taken out, and integrating this ds you will get the total area A vector, and it is a dot product, and again this equation will be EA cos theta. This is up to the dot product formula. So when two vectors are scalar products, then you get EA cos theta. Okay, this theta is the angle between E vector and A vector. Theta is the angle between the electric field and the area vector. So here the direction of V vector and the area vector is 0 degree. They are on the same direction. Therefore, the angle theta is equal to 0 degree. Therefore, cos 0 becomes equal to 1. So the equation phi can be written as E into A. Is one of the important equation which relates the flux and the field. Now, so we know the area of the sphere. The area of a sphere here considered is 4 pi r square. Suppose the radius of the sphere is capital R, If the radius of the sphere is capital R, it is 4 pi r square, and therefore we know phi is equal to E into A. So substituting the values, phi is equal to, also we know the equation for electric field. What is the equation for electric field? Equation for electric field is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So here I am going to apply the electric field equation, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square into area of a sphere is here, so it is 4 pi r square. Simply multiplying by 4 pi r square, I can cancel 4 pi r square. So what is the remaining term? Q by epsilon naught. So phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So this is what Gauss law. So phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught represent Gauss law, which means that the total flux over a closed area depends on the net charge enclosed within that area. Suppose if you are having a dipole inside the sphere, a dipole has a equal and opposite charge, therefore the minus q and plus q, the effect of these two charges will cancel each other, and therefore the flux will be zero in the case of a dipole. But here I am going to consider the isolated charge which is kept at the center, and therefore the total flux depends on the net charge enclosed within that surface divided by the permittivity of free space, because I am going to consider the spherical symmetry in 3-dimensional space where it is filled with air or vacuum. Okay, that's what. So phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. It's very simple, and only the symmetry is very important in dealing with Gauss law, because the symmetry here I have considered as a spherical symmetry, and this spherical symmetry stands as a sphere, and this sphere is a Gaussian surface. This is called as a Gaussian surface, and this is a imaginary surface. So if you consider another sphere of radius r dash like this, if you consider another sphere of radius, so like this, if the radius is r dash such that r dash is greater than r, what will be the flux? Again, the flux is equal to the same charge q upon epsilon naught. So the flux remains constant, even though if you consider the greater sphere, the sphere having a greater radius, the flux remains constant. This is because the equation doesn't involve r. So here the flux does not depends on the distance. The sphere does not depend on the distance r. In the case of electric field, it depends on r. In the case of potential, it depends on r. But in the case of electric flux, the total flux over a closed surface, imaginary surface, it depends on the net charge enclosed by the surface only, and it does not depend on r. Okay, it's a very important concept. And there are three types of symmetry. We can consider spherical symmetry, and number 2, cylindrical symmetry, and number 3, planar symmetry. Okay, suppose if you have a plane surface, if you consider this board as a plane surface, then the area vector will be acting away from the board, perpendicularly it is acting away from the board like this. This is the area vector. Suppose if you have a plane surface like this, and this will be your area vector. Suppose if you have a plane surface like this, and this will be the area vector, and here this will be the area vector. So the area vector is always perpendicular to the area which we consider. This is the method to draw the area vector, and by this, here on any sphere, on the surface of the sphere, on any particular area, the area vector is normal. Also, the electric field is also acting along the same direction, therefore theta becomes equal to 0 degree, and therefore we can consider cos 0 as 1. So the equation becomes phi is equal to Ea. Suppose if you have more number of charges, another plus q charge is here, another plus q charge is here, another plus q, so you are having a collection of charges. So the equation for the collection of charges will be sum of the charges, summation of the total charges upon the permittivity of free space. The same equation holds for any number of charges. Okay, so this is Gauss law, and by considering this symmetry, it is very easy for us to calculate the electric field by applying Coulomb's law. So that I am going to apply the Gauss law rather than Coulomb's law. Gauss law is a very efficient method to calculate the electric field. So it is the advanced method of Coulomb's law. We can say it is another method of Coulomb's law, but it is a step advanced method of Coulomb's law which involves the symmetrical calculations. By symmetry, we can consider our calculation as the very easiest one. And suppose if you have another charge plus q here outside the Gaussian surface, and this charge will not contribute to any flux. So there is no dependence on this charge and the flux because the charge is present outside the Gaussian surface. But this is a very important relation and important concept, that those charges present outside the Gaussian surface will not contribute to flux. But the electric field is still outside. If you consider a Gaussian surface, the electric field is still outside the Gaussian surface or inside the Gaussian surface, no problem, the electric field will be there. But those charges present outside the Gaussian surface will never contribute to flux here. This is a very important rule and important point to remember in this case. And we have many applications of Gauss law, and we are going to deal with the applications. If you have a very long infinite state conductor, charge conductor, and what is the electric field developed by that conductor, and if you are having a charged planar sheet, what is the electric field, and if you are having a spherical shell, charged spherical shell, what will be the electric field inside, outside, on the surface of the spherical shell. These are all the several cases we are going to develop upon Gauss law. So we can see in the next video.